Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my review of a show that is on the Investigation Discovery Network. It is called Web of Lies. Now, the show, as far as Web of Lies go, the show basically, the premise of it is to focus on internet people that are on the internet that are not who they say they are. It's people that try to deceive and beguile others, manipulate them. Sometimes there's extortion involved. It's people pretending to be somebody else in order to manipulate others and get what they want from them. It can be something of a monetary need in some cases. Some people just seem like they just want to cause problems for others, and whatever they do, it's to the other person's detriment, and they often will feed off of younger people. I would think that might be more gullible or what have you, impressionable, whatever you want to call it. I do like this series because it lets people understand, the people that don't know about the internet fraud and deception. It lets them understand, be cognizant of these things that can happen when you're online. These predators that are online. One story they had on, I guess it was an episode they had on, which focused on Amanda Todd, and many of you may have remembered her. It was an infamous suicide. She got millions of views for her YouTube video when she was showing those cards, and it was basically, I believe it was talking about being bullied online. And it's just terrible when you have these people that will do this to other people, this kind of nefarious actions toward others. You have a lot of corrupt, nefarious people out there. It lets people understand, be cognizant of these kind of people. The people that may not have really been that aware of it, or those that might have thought, oh, this kind of stuff doesn't really happen that often. I don't know the exact stats, but I'm sure the cyber crime in general, cyber stalking, what have you, it's probably more prevalent now than it has been in years past. I would say proportionally with the popularity of the internet, you're likely going to have an increase in escalation of cyber crime. And what people really have to understand is that the people out there that don't know about this, that these things go on the internet, is that you really need to be very prudent and careful who you get involved with online. And I mean, one way to verify, at least through obviously it would be through like a Facebook video chat or Skype. I think there's a lot of people out there that succumb to these online predators because they don't do the proper confirmation on these people. They're too trusting, and they just believe whatever it is that is stated to them by these people online. They had one episode, I believe it was on Web of Lies, based on the story. It seems like it likely came from the show, but you may want to confirm that online through Google search or what have you. But there was one show where there was a professor, and I believe it was a college professor, if I'm not mistaken, and he had some situation going on. I don't know if you want to call it online interlude or what have you, with somebody he thought was a young girl. And what happened was, it turned out that young girl was not a young girl, and the person that was pretending to be the young girl then decided to impersonate this imaginary fictitious girl's father and demanded like $5,000 from this professor, and if he didn't receive it, he was going to call the authorities, and he was going to report him for these salacious online actions or activity or whatever. And with this girl, this made-up girl, what happened was, consequently, this professor winds up jumping off some building, and he assumed that was it may have been an underage girl. I know it was a rather young girl, who he thought it was anyway, and he wound up committing suicide. So, I mean, people, it's imperative not to fall for these things. And whether And of course, I mean, there is a lesson if you're ever involved, if you're with somebody that's really young. In this case, it was likely an underage girl, and if it's an underage girl, as far as a sexual relationship goes, it's illegal. That would be illegal anyway, and it just lets people know they really don't need to get involved with them, because it could either get them in trouble for unlawfully being involved with somebody either they're not supposed to, or it could turn out to be an imposter anyway. And the thing is, I was talking to somebody myself one time that she claimed to be somebody, and somebody fairly, you could say, renowned. And when I asked her to give me talk to me through some Facebook video chat or something, she said she didn't have the technology. And that pretty much told me that it likely wasn't the person that she claimed to be. So that's one of the things you can do in a situation where you're talking to someone. I would make sure you get some kind of corroboration through photos or something, or I would say really if you could do it through a video chat, because photos can be photoshopped. The same person I told you that I was talking with that claimed to be somebody that had certain fame and notoriety, I asked her if she could send me a photo that said "Hi Eddie" on it, and she did that. But what I noticed is when I really was scrutinizing and looking at the picture carefully, the picture looked like one she already had on her profile or whatever it was, and all it did, it looked like somebody just, I don't know if they were able to Photoshop something and superimpose like the thing that said "Hi Eddie" right by her hand in the same, but it was the same, the hand was in the same, the body and everything was in the same position. It looked like the photo looked identical to one she had on her profile or whatever it was, but it just had the sign in her hand that said "Hi Eddie," and that was the only difference between that and the other photos. So you also, I mean, if you want to do it through a photograph, you could, in somebody showing something in their hand, but you got it. I mean, it would have to, I believe it would have to be like a time-stamped photo. I guess that would be one way you can do it, but video chat would be the best way to actually do it. And if you're this way, at the very least, the person you're speaking with that you're seeing online, those photographs, they match with that person, at least the person in the photo matches with who you're talking to in the video. Now the only one thing about that where that doesn't prove everything 100% regarding identity is that sometimes you could have somebody just working behind the scenes and having some model do something for them, and this person that even if the person you see in the video chat is the same person in the photographs and that profile you see online, sometimes it still could be somebody else working behind the scenes and just trying to cause some kind of trouble and for you in the long run when you try to meet up with this person, and that person might not even show up. So that's the only catch with that. But at least if you could get a video chat, that's something you can do to help try to verify who this person is you're talking to. And it's something that people really need to be really careful of as far as when they're online. And this show, Web of Lies, really shows really how some people will just go to whatever lengths, whether it's trying to get money from somebody, or it's extortion, or somebody that just wants to harass another person. And I mean, be careful who you share your photographs with. And I mean, there was that episode in Web of Lies with about Amanda Todd's story. Somebody had convinced her, she was starting with online, to take some, I believe it's like a partially nude photo. It was something where it photographed her chest area. And the thing about it is, if I'm not mistaken, that eventually was being shown to different people online. And it's something where you really just really, it's imperative to verify that other person that you're speaking with. And also too, even if it is the person in question, you verify who this person is always. I mean, if you're doing online dating, try to do a background check as well. You can go to mylife.com, and they will have it's got to be paid for on mylife.com, but they do have something on there where you can check the background person. And a lot of that data on My Life, a lot of those profiles have a birth date on it too, so you can verify if that person is telling you the truth regarding his or her age. I mean, say you're like a 30-year-old female on there, and you want to get involved with some guy, but you'd rather that person be in their 30s. And let's say you go, and that person says he's 35, and then when you go online and you find out based on the birthday he's actually 45, well, that would be a red flag right there. So it's also important to do that. And also sometimes you can, in some cases, you could search a person's criminal background online for free just by Googling the name and the city, and then the criminal record. Sometimes you could even you can do you could type in the person's name, and I think after that it's followed by well, actually you type in text, and I think it's colon after that, then quote that person's name, and then end quote, and you could also do it that way. So there are ways that you could use some street sense and try to get this as far as online fraud, trying to combat it, and so you're not duped. And these are, I mean, the show really, it really does enlighten people, and it lets them know, as far as getting, as far as ways that people have gotten hurt through online activity with the wrong people. But by showing these episodes, people can think of ways that they can do what they can to counteract it. So it is a very good show. I give it 5 stars out of 5. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.